Morning, good afternoon, everyone. We can observe different communes who are honoring those roles, even if they do not have the necessary resources based on the absence of those really responsible at the local level, at the level of those communities. The second point is we have to guarantee that we have leadership, to have the coordination aligned and inclusive, aligned with the policy, the communal and national policy. The state is we have lots of communities in Madagascar who are not in the knowing of this, and we need to install real leaders in those communes to solve those problems locally. The third point, as we said, they are playing this role, most of them are playing those roles without possessing the necessary resources and do something at their levels. Where we have lots of investments, they do not have the capacity to support those efforts. And also, when Runwash and other projects are coming with PPP approach and mobilizing the private sector. The modes of functioning, the current mode of functioning is not allowing to optimize the outcome of this from the private sector. And with those three points were prioritized for the accountability of the communes in the wash sector in Madagascar. How did we render accountable the communes? We adopted the system approach, and we presented this throughout the approach, and an approach to see an overall holistic approach on the left-hand side of the slides that we have to consider or ameliorate to accelerate or render more effective the wash access, universal wash access. And we need to consider those 12 constitutive elements of the sector, funding of the sector, institutional arrangements, leadership played by the communes and the central ministry, etc., etc. So in this frame, when we speak of the capacity building of the commune, and we need to reinforce the structures with the communes to improve the dialogues with the managers, the communes, and to support more global structures at the communal and regional level, so that we can have supports, effective approach to ameliorate the latter, and for them to be more performant over the years. And on the other hand, that would allow us to identify the challenges that we have to overcome at the national level, so that decision making at the level of the communes are to reach the expected outcomes. And the three next slides would share with us on the changes we brought on the field when we speak of the wash system, and here one on related to services and behavior changes, which is an important element of the wash sector, and we imposed on different changes. Different elements were ameliorated, improved, including operation and maintenance of the infrastructures, on the community management, or as for the private managements, and the same as for those community managements are transformed and changed into private managements with all the advocacy activities with those different stakeholders. Anything related to rehabilitation, construction, maintenance, and the obtention of acquisition of AEP. So these are the essential principle changes. We talked about this with the other sections that we used, and tomorrow we will speak of the local structures and the question of accountability and regulations, and the commune put in place that mechanism with the community, the private operators should consider those elements to improve the quality of the services. And they put in place these dialogue spaces, local dialogue spaces to debate on the different challenges encountered by the community. The third thing is when we speak of water resources, like the protection of the watersheds, we have to work with those operators. We're going to have a more deepened presentation on this tomorrow. There is also another effort led by the communes and the districts so that these tools can be used based on the information and the evidences. And at the national level, we train the communes on how to use the SESAM, and the same for the local structures of consultation. Everything related to strategic planning, PCDH, PDLE, or operational planning on a yearly basis, so that we can monitor the evolution and how to see how we can improve the outcome. So these are supports that we provided to the communes, and we worked a lot with the regional services of budget on how to improve the funding of the sector at the communal level. And we have some elements related to the budget planning, resource mobilization, forecast on the expenditure, and we accompanied the communes on those aspects. We also tried to create some linkages between the communes and the other projects, so that they can mobilize supplement of resources to be complementary, and which is very important with the hygiene, so that we can support them for the sanitation activities, for example. So we also impacted on the gender dimension. We insisted on communal level, and one of the challenges is we don't know to whom we have to report, who is going to monitor the performance. We worked a lot on the linkages between the communes and regional directorates, the roles and responsibility of the SCD, between the different structures, the communes or the SLC or the associations or the CSO. So this by working we can improve slowly but surely locally to support and help them to be pragmatic and provide solutions based on the existing regulatory text, but also to avoid confusion in the interpretation of those texts. And that is a very strong point when we speak of those communes of interventions. We also can speak of coordination. So at the SLC worked with the mayors to link the different stakeholders and to bring up collaboration solutions to reach some objectives, such as the global cleaning of the villages, to foster, to stop open air defecation, and also to engage other sectors, the private sector, so that we can work on extension activities. We had lots of discussions on the conflicts, communal conflicts, and see how we can work it out locally, propose some solutions from the organizations, internal organizations within the commune advisory, and that would be highlighted by the adoption of solutions. In general, we have the different actors, and they are part of the elements of the systems that were reinforced, so that every time we have actors like Branwash, the ministry, going to field, the commune should be able to optimize the results related to hygiene, and if they encounter difficulties, they can themselves improve their competence. Here we have a big picture of the types of interventions that we dispatched through time, and to at which year we could intervene. When we speak of institutional turnout, the types of trainings we provided to the commune, so that they can perform appropriately their roles, and better understand their responsibilities. And we started, for those after this training, decided to put in place technical services on water sanitation and hygiene, and people who were appointed started to receive those trainings. For us, Ranwash, the recruitment of the ATAH was part of the engagement of the communes. We have a budget line dedicated for that, and this is to help respect the norms at the level of the communes. And we provided those trainings, and we did some capacity building as well before the last year of the project. We did some capacity building meanwhile. For example, we initially planned to develop the PCTH from the first year, but the communes should be able to identify themselves those challenges, and we have the PCTEH was not done by the service providers, but for the communes to find solutions. And it was at the end that they developed those on the fourth and third year, depending on the basis of each communes on the elaboration of the PCTEH. This board is showing the evolution, and to pick up the different elements to be reinforced. So from those intervention for the third part, we're going to see the tools we used for that. In the website that we're going to view together, apart from the tools used in the other sessions, anything related to the strengthening of the wash system mastery by the communes. We have different types of tools. We also grouped the tools used by the STEH. As you can see in the slide, we have tools that were elaborated by the central ministry, by the external service providers like Telma, and was exploited by the regional directorates. And before that we had training modules that were organized by Runwash, Santanjan, Pushproof, WaterEd, CRS, and the university, the American university, that was taken by the regional directorates and the ministry, and everything related to aqua assistance, which is adding to that. So the third part is a group of tools used for the planning at the level of the communes and local level. So I'd like to invite you to have a look at those tools and explore them. So as we did during the previous presentations, the tool that I am presenting now can be located on the governance monitoring of the water, sanitation and hygiene sector. So for the first part, those used at the national and regional level, anything related to coordination, planning and funding of the sector. That is something we presented yesterday, and today we will focus more on the reinforcement of the responsibility taken by the communes to develop the wash sector at the level of the communes. We have different tools available, like the TOR and other tools like the manual of procedures, which we could not upload up to date, and will be coming soon. And some documents are still on process. And a tool like training on PCDEH, this is not yet available. This is there was a mistake about the link. So for those wash system for commune use, the commune had to have the global vision of those responsibilities, and that's why they need to understand their responsibilities and take a leadership role, and that's why we provided different types of trainings, and this is a tool which is the same as what they have at the central ministry, because we elaborated, designed those tools together. So, as I mentioned, if we look at the website, when you download those files, we have different types of categories. We have the wash system and communal mastery of the systems, and technical services and the planning, the training related to a mastery of the systems were provided right at the beginning of the project, and we talked about the reference text, roles and responsibilities, and the different types of activities that should have been implemented, and we supported them to restructure those activities to reinforce the WASH system. So inside we have those tools related to the trainings we used for the commune's 2-day training. We also had some capacity building as well. Because of the rain, the electricity was cut. What do you see on the screen? Let me arrange things. Okay. Okay, so thank you. So excuse us for those technical challenges because of the rain. Can you hear me now? So we spoke of intensive trainings on system reinforcement for the communes to improve progressively the management of those systems, and every year we have an assessment of the systems at the level of the communes on a yearly basis, and for them to elaborate an improvement plan on water, sanitation, and hygiene. We also have the text of reference that were used for that, and also the tools for commune system mastery, which is destigmatize everything related to PPP and the regulation roles ensured by the central ministry. There is a tool that we can use every year on a yearly basis to evaluate the improvements of the WASH aspect for the communes. One of the points that I mentioned is the system approach, which was provided by the central ministry to the communes. As for the STEAH, we worked with an American university at the level of the consortium to develop training to be provided to the communes. And you can see here the types of trainings. Yes, TEAH retained on everything related to legal frame, the funding of the services. And this was a 2-week training developed with Villanova and Sandanjan, Bushproof, Sandanjan, WaterEd, CLSN Care. And these training were continued by the Central Ministry, so that we can continue with the capacity building for the new STEH and for the first year of the execution of the project. We implemented at least one trainings, and were conducted by the regional directorates. And you can, of course, download this tool. We also have trainings on the CLTA's approach, the data, and the training tools are available on the sanitation. The monitoring of those construction, we could support the communes to ensure monitoring activities, and all entities who engaged in the PPP within or outside Ranwash was reinforced in the contract delegation. And that is one of the instances of tools that are available. And here also for the STEH, this was a study carried out 2 years ago. And the years is not written here. At that time, we had 202 communes with STAH, as I mentioned earlier. And those STAH were implemented by Ranwash and were supported by the regional directorates. At the beginning, through our former experience, those STAH are working days per weeks, and there are some other people who are playing the roles of those STAH, and they are working about 5 days a week. We also have the salary that were amended and paid by the communes, not by Ranwash. So after the COVID-19, we tried to adapt those trainings to be available online, and this was an collaboration between us and Telma to render those tools available without connectivity. So it can be used for a total of 45 minutes, and we also could have 5-minute calls with this STEH, and they had some supports at their levels, and with the trainers they could discuss face-to-face, and with the agents from the central ministry to experimented by the agent of Connecteo, which is one of the branches of Telma. Okay, so I'm going to open this. We have new elements inside, and you can also try to download those elements here. We have the summary of the trainings. We have different components for module number 2, and for each themes we need 17 minutes. If the communes would like to re-listen to the sequences of those trainings, they can do so, and for that they can choose their themes of interest and download the file. So the communes did not have to pay anything to follow those trainings, and they can contact the server if they wish to follow those trainings. And we could identify some errors for certain responses. We ask them to re-listen sequences of those trainings until they find the right answer. So we also use a type of contract inspired from the contracts UNICEF used a long time ago, and was added some elements based on the attribution responsibilities of the communes and the STH in the text. We also have the central ministry, which provided trainings on the new version of the Sesame, which is accessible online. And the ministry is now working on providing trainings to different actors. Ranwash has revisited the trainings for all the communes of interventions of Ranwash. We also invested a lot. As we said, for the communes to commit and to engage budgets in their we had to work with the regional services department of budgets on everything related to commune budgets and how to insert a WASH budget line. We have files that you can download for the types of trainings today. We are working on a more explicit documents in collaboration with different actors, and which is going to be replacing those training tools we have here. The tools that the ministry, the regional budgets departments are using texts, which is dispatching the responsibilities and roles of every actors, the process to unlock budgets. And we also have the manual of procedures in Malagasy and French versions, which are shared with the communes. So you can also download this from the website. So these are quite heavy documents, if I may say so, but you can these are very important documents, but I'm sure the remaining documents can be uploaded here. Ranwas is using an Excel file for graphics and analysis, and the Excel files would be shared in this site. So these are the communes which are extracting information, and they're doing an analysis exercise to have an idea, a global idea, on the percentage, for example, of the WASH budget compared to the global budget. Some systems have already been integrated by the central ministry through some trials, and those systems would be activated soon. Renforcement is going to leave those tools to Sesame to support the communes or to support the regional directorates, because it's the role of the communes. Anything related to financial gaps, we have tools available. We also have the sharings. There are lots of tools, monitoring tools, performance monitoring for the communes that are available as well, that you can use. I do not have the figures, but in terms of PCDEH, the communes who worked with us for that sake, we have more than 200 communes endowed with PCDEH. They are using for the planning, budget planning. And as I said, the documents the communes are using, we worked along with them to elaborate those tools. The PCDH training tools should be available here, but I'm afraid we have some issue with the link. And there are some amendments and readjustments we still... they said that I don't know if you have questions, comments based on what I presented. And if you have questions you'd like to raise on the tools, you can send it to us. Over to you. If there is no questions, thank you for your attention for this presentation.